Okay, welcome back to What If History Restarted. Last time, episode 25, there was that really big war. We had a whole coalition and internal groups rebelling, and these people overthrowing the government, and all that together was finally enough to take down the Cypriots. So now they're just Cyprus, and that's where we're going to pick up. So basically, Cyprus is... After this war, Cyprus has been damaged a lot, but the old leaders are all dead and stuff, but it is still alive, I guess. So that's something for it. However, they just rebuild that wall that they have there and just continue making it stronger. So we actually see that Cyprus just kind of goes into this, like, it's almost like Japan in our timeline. It just kind of goes like isolationist, and no one really knows what's going on here. Obviously, we're just going to show it like this, but still, just know that, like, it's really just cut off from the rest of the world, even though it's kind of in a pretty key area. But anyway, regardless of that, if we zoom out, first thing that we're going to see happen is some more exploration. Basically, there's just a lot of empty Sahara desert here, so they're going to go ahead and explore that. So now all of Africa is explored. We also see some further exploration up into Siberia, like this. This is just being done by people from all over the world in all these different countries. We even see a little bit more down here in Indonesia, mostly by this one. I don't know what it's called. I guess you could call that, I think it's the Malay Peninsula. So, we'll just call it Malaysia, I guess. And they do also find Borneo, so they do explore a little bit of that, but not the entire thing. In the Philippines, the southern one specifically, they find the top of Borneo, so they explore a little bit of that. And there's also some more ocean exploration, not so much over in the Pacific, but over in the Atlantic we do see some more expeditions, although they still do not make it anywhere. This is a ship went out here, then it turned back. That's all that is. They also do, however, find Iceland, so that's pretty nice. Might be some kind of Norse people, maybe Norwegians, maybe the Scottish, I don't know. But regardless, Iceland is pretty much fully discovered. Well, not even pretty much, it just is. I feel like Scotland is too close in color to the ocean, so I'm just gonna... We'll go with this. And there. Almost. There. And also, speaking of colors, I think that these two are a little too similar, Baikal and Japan, so I'm gonna make them look different. But with that, all the colors are in order. Maybe Japan starts going up here a little, but like there's hardly anyone up here, so I don't really know why you would. Moving on over here, we continue this with exploration. Now this is where the Himalayas are, but they're mainly like, I want to say, around here. Maybe more like this. So some of this more northern area is more easy to find, just still kind of mountainous, but still, it does work. So now we have a very small pocket of Asia left undiscovered. Over here, I believe that there is actually, there's this pretty, like, tiny ethnic group So we're actually going to see them kind of be influenced by the surrounding countries. So these guys are finally going to make fully advanced into a civilization. A lot of their people are kind of, well, not, a lot of their people are up here, but that's just kind of too bad. So yeah, these guys are a thing now. Definitely no trade routes going through them, but oh well. But anyway, so Cypriots obviously are in a million pieces right now. And of course, even though the blue and red teams just got independent, it is the blue and red teams. So they're going to be going to war. Yes, because they really hate each other. Thing is, though, I forgot to do power rankings again. So now we're going to do that. So by this point, first place is actually going to go to North Italy. Although I might be calling them Tuscany now, because I looked it up and this capital is right in Tuscany. Plus, it's where they started. So this is like the Tuscany Empire. So they're one. We can do it over here. Not that big. One, Tuscany. Second place is actually going to go to St. Petersburg. I'll respell it. And third is Germany. Fourth, I'm going to go with probably... Fourth is probably going to go to Gibraltar. And then fifth, probably the Anatolians. 6 blue, 7 red, 8. As you can see, Europe and the Middle East are kind of more developed than even China by now. But 8 is going to be Egypt. 9 is Indus. 10 is finally South China. And then 11 might be Catalonia. So I don't know if there's any. We'll do Bangladesh. Actually, probably not you. Probably Baikal. Then Bangladesh. And Persia is 14. Oh, don't mind the slash. And then 15 finally will be India. So there's our top 15. India, Persia, Bangladesh, Baikal, Catalonia, South China, Indus, Egypt, red, blue, Anatolia, Gibraltar, Germany, St. Petersburg, and then Tuscany is in first. So yeah, that's that. Golden Horde is probably 16th. I just want to put that out there. And then there's probably a bunch of European ones. Right now in this world, I say that European culture is probably roughly these countries, which is kind of odd, but that's just how it is. This is kind of like Europe. It just happens to go down to the Persian Gulf. Anyway, if we look at the alliances map, last time the square and star team, I forgot what that was called for a second, they kind of put aside their differences to beat up the Cypriots. That was only a very temporary thing. So now and because, a lot of them would be like, we're going to help you out by putting our troops here to kick out the Cypriots, but then they said, no, don't do that, we got that, but then they did it anyway. That might make even more drama. So they might actually even be even worse than beforehand. The only place I would say this might get better is over here, where I think this country is finally going to be willing to join the Star Alliance. So they already were kind of unofficially in it with their pact with Germany. They only weren't joining just because of they hate this guy up here. But I think they've probably learned to put aside their differences for now. Finland is going to be staying neutral though. There's a lot of convincing to try to get these countries to join in on one side or the other. So we're going to be seeing that. Greece joins the Star team, and Sparta joins the Square team. Over here, so now pretty much all of mainland Europe is filled in. I want to say mainland, that's not counting Scandinavia or the British Isles. The only places that aren't are St. Petersburg, because they want to stay neutral, and also this guy. I guess this is Brittany. Go up over here too. It's kind of kicked out the old France, I believe. That's what happened, maybe. I'm not sure, actually. But, they look very easy to pick off right now by Tuscany. So Tuscany is going to go ahead and starting from here, they're just going to move right on in here. They also make some efforts to go straight up here so that this country can't really get the chance to take that much land. Obviously they can still take some, but it's not nearly as much as if Tuscany did not do this up here. So yeah, soon enough this thing falls, and the borders are just going to be from here. Whoa. So yeah. With the defeat of the Cypriots, we might also see some more major cities start to pop up. So like one, boom, bang, pow, ka-chow, sling, slang, slong. Great commentary, I know. Probably one up here. And then we can put a couple more over in this Polish region. Maybe even one more for St. Petersburg. So yeah, Europe's looking more populated now. So, yes, there we go. Star Square team rivalry is still going very strong, and both the teams really want to get the other one weaker. And if you remember, though, there was that rebellion that happened over in what was formerly Poland. It used to look kind of like, not this color, but it looked like this, roughly. I think it might have looked a little bit different, but it was kind of just roughly that. That's what I'm trying to say. So it kind of has inspired some of these countries. So a lot of the Star team is going to go ahead and actually start funding a rebellion up in Tuscany, in their more French regions. So we see that this Tuscany rebellion group is going to pop up right over here, mainly off of that major city, also coming down to the Alps a little bit here, meeting up here, and then just kind of taking this over. This is a group that wants to overtake the government, but we also see a separatist movement out here. This is getting very close to this medium city. I'm thinking I might call those vital cities. So you got major, vital, capital. I like that. So, yeah, it's getting very close to this vital city, and it also has this. The other Square team members are going to be sending support over to the Tuscany. However, this one is going to continue to get pretty big and even cut off the vital city. Then move across here and really just storm through this area. This one starts getting pushed back and eventually it's kind of left up in this little panhandle. But now with that, these guys start focusing their troops over here on the green one. They reconnect up with the vital city and circle these guys. That's not great. They then move up here and take this city. Then go up here and nab all this up. So those guys are gone. But now these guys are just doing the exact same thing that the green team was doing. So now they have all of this, as well as this one, and even this one. And all of a sudden, Tuscany is now cut in two. In this half, the troops that are stranded over here, this side is happy at first, because like now we can encircle them. There's still like a lot of troops over here. So they start, just pushing back. But eventually this war is kind of going to slow down to a stalemate. When I say stalemate though, it's not really a stalemate, it's more just the war is slowed down. So it takes a few years and Tuscany does get kind of weakened by this, but they do fully recontrol all of their territory. So now they're pretty suspicious of... The square team is pretty suspicious of the star team for maybe starting this. The star team is of course going to deny that, but they don't really believe it. It is false. I don't like how this is a straight line border. Let's just fix that. So with that, they're gonna kind of use that as justification, maybe, a little bit here. As we see that the Netherlands, I forgot what they're called, and Tuscany, kind of gonna do something a little interesting here. And they're gonna go right ahead and invade Germany. So, Tuscany starts pushing in from up here. And you from over here. That is not invasion color. So yeah, they just caught Germany very off guard by doing this. I did not include Netherlands in my ranking. Oops. They might be in there. They are probably pretty strong. But anyway, Tuscany moves out and takes this capital. But of course the star team is now getting pulled into this war. So now we see that this union starts pushing in from over here, taking this major city. But now this guy, kind of Serbia, I guess, starts pushing up here to try and get revenge on this union, because this was the reason these guys used to only be like this big, and that was because they used to be like all of this, but then just got these two countries which are now united beat them up. So then they got turned into this, but then they got all this from the Cypriots, so yeah, they want revenge. So this just looks like their color. We'll just say this is both of these guys together are pushing into this one, and they go right ahead and capture this vital city. Now, the thing about this time of history, we still really aren't that advanced. I'd say we're probably around like 700 AD, which is like if the Cypriots are the Romans of this timeline, then that still is, later than when the Romans fell in our timeline, but it is still the same technology from around 700 AD in our timeline. But even with that, alliances and countries and stuff, they still aren't really like officially required to join any wars. This is kind of like I don't really know how to describe it. They're just more like working as a team. So, obviously a lot of them still will join on wars to help each other though. But this isn't necessarily gonna, not in this point of history, it's not gonna cause like a giant war across all of Europe to instantly pop up just because of one invasion. So, Jutland starts moving into the north of Denmark, or not Denmark, the Netherlands. The Netherlands quickly realize that they are not prepared for this, as Germany's military, third strongest in the world, immediately starts pushing them back, rolling into this land, taking this city. Tuscany is probably not too happy with it. Why are so many strong countries like purple? Tuscany is, St. Petersburg is, Tuscany, or not Tuscany, Germany arguably is. It's kind of bluish, but I might classify that as purple. But whatever. See your star team. This one's neutral, but not. Yeah. So over here, anyway, Tuscany, very strong, starts pushing this one out. And they start pushing into it. And this is because they're also kind of being beat up from this side over here. They get cut in two. And these guys even make a spearhead out here. But just as they're about to encircle this major city, Greece is going to go ahead and start joining in on this war better. So now this gets repelled. And Greece also manages to make their own little thing down here, cutting these guys off from the ocean and taking their only city other than their capital. From there, poor little Denmark is going to get completely obliterated. Take off that. They have their capital spearheaded from both sides at once, and then taken from both sides at once. Now this entire region is cut off, so that falls. And then Jutland spears head down here. And then this team, who is on the star team, moves in and occupies this. And then the rest of this is taken by these guys. So Netherlands just got obliterated. Speaking of that, these countries are kind of humiliating Tuscany right now. They just encircled them at the city, which goes under siege, but eventually they are victorious. They start pushing them out here, but once they get to the border, they are kind of halted. You know, Tuscany kind of is famous for having its great defenses. But over here, this country is not doing great. It has its capital taken, as well as this major city. Tuscany starts flooding in a ton of their troops. They move out here and connect up with this front line, and so Serbia manages to, as well as this one, just take all of that. So that goes well. They do also push out Greece a little bit more. Tuscany says that they aren't going to get involved with Greece because that's too far away, and they don't really care. They also are begging Gibraltar to join, but Gibraltar's kind of too scared of Catalonia. Catalonia is a pretty big power, so they don't, and Gibraltar was just kind of humiliated in the war against the Cypriots. Their military did a terrible job, so they don't really want to risk that again. I mean, they already would automatically lose this city, so not off to a great start there. See, this country also starts moving into what remains of this guy. Well, they don't do that because then they invade Tuscany, and they don't want to do that. They go in there. Let's see. So this one's on the square team. So because of that, I would assume we might see, this practically just a separate war at this point. But it's just these guys, kind of more. These are the more Polish one. This is Poland. This is Latvia, maybe. And I don't know what that makes this. Belarus, maybe. No, Belarus is kind of like that. I don't know what you would call this. But whatever this thing is, kind of starts getting beat up. But eventually, we also see this guy join in. But eventually, after a good amount of fighting, the war kind of comes to a halt. This front line just won't budge at all. And nothing happened. There's no interest down here in the south. And over here, it's just kind of stalemated. So eventually, these European countries are going to agree to peace. So now we got to take a look at that. So yeah, like I said, it's just alliances in this time aren't necessarily they just don't have that good technologies. So they can't just, alliances still aren't advanced to the point where they just can really boss around all the other countries and just say, like, if they get invaded at all, then everyone has to join. They're more just like working together, not necessarily having to join in on it every war. But anyway, we can take a look at this peace treaty. So let's turn off that. These guys are going to be getting a considerable portion of France. I don't know what I guess this is France. This does include the capital, which is going to be a major city. And as for the rest of it, its new capital is going to be over here. But with how disconnected this thing is, it's just going to go ahead and join Tuscany. We gotta fix this too. Oh, these guys are in the same alliance. Oops. Well, we'll just say that this guy wanted to backstab this one. I don't think that's that unreasonable. But maybe it wouldn't make sense for this to join Tuscany, so new country. We'll even make it green, because there was just that green rebellion over here. So yeah, this one got kind of betrayed. So that's gotta suck. But oh well. Anyway, this one triangle, and this one, because they got betrayed and is also probably terrified of Tuscany, is actually gonna immediately kind of go against logic and join the square team. Like, this it just became a country because they don't want to be in the square team, but then this originally them just joined the square team, so no. This is surprisingly difficult. Yes, there we go. Over here, the Netherlands, as we know, they got really badly beat up, and they also kind of suck, so I'll be losing a considerable kind of portion of land to these guys, who are doing surprisingly well. Jutland, who actually did pretty well, will be getting a lot of this northern coast, including a major city. Germany will be reconnecting up with this exclave, because it will be getting all of this land. And finally, we see a new country pop up here, based around this major city. So, what's the deal with this country is that it's supposed to be required to join the star team, but the thing is, it's kind of, well, just rebels from this. Like, it doesn't really, they didn't put in any, like, officials over here. This is just people that they were just kind of invaded, and now they're telling them, go join us now, so they can just rebel against that. And so these guys just can't really do much. Germany's looking more like Germany now. This country is about to get completely messed up, though. Tuscany is going to be grabbing up this, which honestly isn't that much, but it is kind of, most of their focus is over here in France, as you can see, so yeah. Greece is actually going to be getting off this war very well. They just get, like, this southern part, as well as some lands up north. So Serbia is landlocked once again. Over here, though, everybody will be gaining land. Serbia will finally make their revenge. Nab up all of this. In this one, we'll get this. Not all of it. Why did that even happen? I don't know. And just to put the final nail in the coffin, the Union is separated. This is kind of like Austria-Hungary, sort of. But now it's like Austria and Hungary, because they are separate now. Obviously, this will be the capital. I'm not sure if I like that color. I'm also not sure if I like Germany's border, it looks too, like, not squiggly. Let's just do that. I mean, yeah, that already kind of is helping, I think. So yeah, we can say this happens in the peace treaty, just like more organizing of land, maybe. And yeah, this guy will also not, if we look at the alliances, they will also not be joining in on Star Team, or its Declare Team. And finally, as the last thing of this war, this country's not going to get hit too hard, but they still are going to lose some land. That includes to this guy. And this dude. And finally, this one. You have a weird panhandle up there now, but that's okay. That one's gonna look... no, that's fine. So yeah, that was this episode. Germany's looking pretty thick now, but yeah. We had a nice war in Europe, but not that bad of a war. And next time we're going to be focusing more over in Asia, I swear. But goodbye.